Hi there folks, welcome to RRTV's live coverage of the ANZCAR Thursday Night Thunder, coming to you from North Carolina, Charlotte Motor Speedway for round 10 of the ANZCAR trucks tonight. A bumper field out there. At the moment folks, we have 42 drivers turning up for tonight, so it's going to be all action packed. But before we get into it, let's have a look at your commentary team tonight. So it's myself and Ryan Shelton. Are you there, Ryan?
Absolutely, we're here, 10-4, got you loud and clear.
Fantastic. Well, you can see the guys are just finishing their practice, and then we're going to be into qualifying. And I tell you what, it's looking really good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be quite a stellar race here. You know, Charlotte, home track to me, only about an hour away from my location. So I've been here a few times, so this track's always hold a small spot in my heart.
Yeah, and you were saying before we went on air, you were over at the Coca-Cola 600, so that must have been absolutely amazing to see this in the flesh, so to speak.
Yeah, that was my first time at the 600. I've been at the 500, which is the fall race. I've been there a few times. First time at the 600, and it was quite a sight to see. And it was the first time that number 3 had been back to victory lane since Talladega in 2000.
Fantastic. Well, let's have a look at the points before we get into qualifying, because it's getting interesting. As we can see, Jake Blackwell is leading at the moment out of, he's had 3 wins, average start 8, average finish 3, so expect him to move through the field. And last week, that was underscored. He came pretty much from the back of the grid to be fighting for the top 3 by the end of the night, so he's leading with 367 points. Jason Martin, also 3 wins, average start 1. He tends to fade a little bit, and when I mean a little bit, he's always in the top 5. 311 points he's sitting on, and then Dave Douglas, he took the win last week. Average start 13, average finished around about 11th, but he's in 3rd on 296 points. Then it gets interesting at 4th. We have equal James Foster and Roger Clark, both on 280 points, and then Daniel Stevens, he's sitting in 6th position on 268 points. So there's still a lot to play for here tonight.
Yeah, and looking at the points, I mean, there is kind of a big gap between the first, second, or the first place, and then you got kind of a smaller gap between second through about 8th, I should say, 9th, or even 10th. And so there's still a lot of places up for grabs. I don't think Jake Blackhall's ran away from this one, especially with some of these new drivers who are showing up and taking some of the wins away. You know, Dave Douglas won last week. We've got some new drivers in Scott Butler, who came in 2nd last week in his first race. And also this week we're having a mighty fine driver, Josh McEnroe, who topped the practice sheet. So we'll see if he can hold that one down.
Yeah, exactly right. It'll be interesting to see how they go. They're out there now qualifying 42 drivers here, folks, so we'll try and unpack this as we go through. Just having a look at who's on the screen at the moment. Well, James Foster's out there. Quite a few have already jumped out, probably around about a third of the field. And we can see now James Foster just started his qualifying lap.
You're starting to get a few guys run through. Jake Blackhall takes the early lead. 28.9. It's about 10th off. Normally your second lap will be faster around here, as it is a flat-out qualifying lap. You may have to lift a little bit through 3 and 4, but most of the time you're just flat out to run this track in qualifying trim. They're doing the race, you do not want to be flat out. So he gets his qualifying time in with a 28.773, which is actually faster than what Josh McEnroe did in practice.
Yeah, it's boding well there for Jake. He normally doesn't qualify that strongly, but Bob King currently sitting in 2nd. He's pulling that car into the pits, and James Foster sitting in 3rd at the moment. His time at 28.813. Phil Otto's out there at the moment on a hot lap. Well, he's coming back in the pits, but he could only manage 5th at the moment.
Yeah, and with other drivers rolling around, you'll start to see the time start to drop. Something like a James Foster, who got 3rd place after practicing in 24th, or Matthew Raymond, who's got 4th place after practicing in 29th. So once some of these top guys, they might push them back, but being up there now bodes well, since there's already 18 drivers who have put down a lap. So they're in a good spot to get a good starting position to start this race off.
Yeah, and it's getting hot out there, isn't it, as in the competition. We just saw Brett Garidis out there. He's qualified 8th, then he immediately got pushed down to 9th position. So looking further down, we've got Luke Miller out here. He's currently qualified 16th. He's on his 2nd flying lap now. And we'll see if he can improve in the 555 entry.
Yeah, so you see Jason Martin down there. Currently he's in 20th position. He's doing his 2nd lap now. He should improve by a lot. He had a practice lap that was 3rd place and would put him 3rd place here in this qualifying session. So let's see what that puts him. And he goes to pole.
Straight to the top. And I'll tell you what, that was a ripper lap, wasn't it? We only caught it as he went across the start-finish line, but that's thrown down the gauntlet for tonight, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, that's the fastest lap we've seen tonight. And you're talking, between all the practice. You had 2 hours of practice, and now we're qualifying, and we're seeing these lap times drop and drop and drop. You're seeing these people do real well.
When I'm having a look through here, one person that's missing in the top 10 at the moment is David Douglas. I'm trying to find where he's sitting at the moment.
He has not ran a lap yet. He hasn't gone out on track just yet. So he still has 5 minutes to do it.
Yeah.
We're missing him. We're also missing Josh Micklemore. It looks like he's on pit road ready to go here in a second. Yep, he's actually going to start his lap time. So he was 1st in practice, so we'll see if he can do it. He's going to have 2 laps. His 2nd lap will always be faster.
And we just saw Darren McKenzie there finish his 2nd lap. He jumped up to 3rd position with a 28.783. So keep an eye on the 75, folks. He's a pretty strong runner.
Yeah, and if you noticed in that point standings that you showed earlier today with the average finish, he had an average finish of 8th, which was, I think it was 3rd or 4th best overall, comparing him to everybody. So he's he's either going to finish up in the top 5, or he's going to be back in the back, putting it on a trailer early. Very much the definition of a wreckers or checkers. So we'll see if he's probably due for a win. Tonight could be the night. He could be that sleeper pick for you betting people.
Yeah, that's it. You can see now Josh Micklemore coming around to finish his 1st flying lap here. Let's see what sort of a time at 29.620. Quite a bit off the pace, 27th. So, but as you said, Ryan, the 2nd lap's quicker, so let's see what he can pull out of his back pocket this time.
Yeah, in comparison to Jason Martin, he was about 3/10 off, so he may have ran the high line a little bit more than what Jason was. So we'll see what he can do coming down through here. Now he's coming through turn 4. Doesn't use all the track, but I don't think he needs to use all the track just yet. And he crosses the line with 5th place.
Awesome job there. He goes straight down to 6th because Lewis Hewitt in the 666 just took him out of 5th with the time 28.787.
Yep, and the big loser in that is James Foster, because he was just in 5th only a few seconds ago.
And you can see now Thomas Hinds coming out in the Waxet entry in the number 52, and he's really good when it comes to his oval track racing, and he loves his track, so let's see what he can do as he's just coming out now on the warm-up. We've also got Norman Clark out there. He's starting his hot lap. He's halfway through his 1st lap, so we'll see how the magician goes. Matt Clough, he's waiting in the pits to come out, and Dave Douglas is also now out on the track.
Let's see what Norman Clark got for his 1st lap. His 1st lap was a 29.0. So this could be boding well. He about 3/10 faster than what Jason had on his 1st lap. So let's see if he can gain that 3/10 back in add it to his. Oh, he got real loose going into turn 3. That's not going to bode well for that number 11 truck of Norman Clark. But let's see what happens. Crosses the line with a 28.9. Doesn't really improve. Ooh, he's not going to like that one.
Deep in the field, isn't it? And you can see Dave Douglas coming through 28.9 was his first lap. That's only good for 20 seconds. So, well, that's his second lap. So Dave Douglas in trouble here, folks. 22nd he'll be starting out tonight, if not lower.
Yep, both of those guys did not look very good. Matthew Cluett is starting his second lap. He's about to go ahead and start it. He was second in practice. So his first lap will end up being a 30.1, which is extremely slow. But we've seen that your first lap is not your fastest. It's always your second. Do need grab speed around here. Yeah,
that's putting them under immense pressure. We just saw Thomas Hinds. He managed 17th fastest with a time of 28.9 and 1.1. Here comes Matt Cloak now as he's coming across the second lap. And what can he do? 28.782, straight up to third.
So that basically matches his practice time, beats it out by just a 1,000th of a second.
Yeah, and we've still got quite a few drivers we're waiting to come out. They're leaving it right to the last minute. That's Denny G, Steve Williams, Darren J. O'Brien. He's still waiting to come out. Jason Ress is on the track now doing his warm-up, but we've still got many more like Matt Stratford, Daniel Tring, Terry Marwood, Steve Hoppett. They all are not in their cars at the moment.
Yeah, if they're not in their cars now, they're not going to get a good lap time in. So imagine that they will be starting towards the back. So if we haven't seen them on track yet, then I don't think we're going to see them do very much.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is about Matt Stratford, but he doesn't like qualifying to the point where he generally starts at the back of the field without putting down a lap and works his way through. Maybe he just likes the extra challenge or he's a bit crazy, who knows. But Jason Ress at the moment, we can see him on the screen, his second flying lap now. First one was only good for 34th position, but as you've been saying tonight, Ryan, it's a second lap, which he's run out of time.
Yep. Yeah, you run out of time around here. You just timed it not correctly, so...
Yep, hero or zero in that regard. But let's have a look at the grid, because we've got a massive grid to go through tonight. So on the first row tonight, we've got Jason Martin starting from pole. He's joined with Jake Blackhall, in second. In second row tonight, we've got Matt Cloak and Darren McKenzie out of third and fourth. Third row tonight is Bob King and Lewis Hewitt. Starting out of seventh, Josh Micklemore, and he's joined on the outside by James Foster. Out of ninth will be Matthew Raymond, and Jock Goodger will start out of 10th. Out of 11th tonight, Phil Otto and Shannon Mason. Out of 13th will be Riley Curtis. He's joined on the grid by TJ Brown next to him in 14th. 15th will be Brett Garitas, and then we have Corey J. Ott out of 16th. Kai Sloggett, he'll start out of 17th tonight, and Scott Butler, keep an eye on him tonight, starting out of 18th. Thomas Hinds will start out of 19th, Lachlan Smith 20th. Roger Clark is starting out of 21st, and he's joined on the grid by Stephen Catalano. Daniel Stevens will start out of 23rd, and next to him is James Robbie. 25th, Dave Douglas with a lot of work to do tonight. 26th will be Craig Lawless. Luke Muir will start out at 27th. He's joined on the grid by Norman Clark at 28th. George Fullerton will start out at 29th with Shane Whiting out of 30th. Out of 31st, Daniel Vassell. Then we've got Gavin Sadler starting out of 32nd. Raymond Yeager, he'll start out of 33rd with Jason Ress out of 34th. Out of 35th tonight is Matt Stratford, and then Denny G, he's going to start out of 36th. Out of 37th will be Steve Williams. Danny Trim, he's going to start next to him out of 38th. Out of 39th, Terry Marwood. Then we have Darren O'Brien in 40th. 41st will be Steve Hoppett. Brian James Jones will start out of 42nd. And that is your field of drivers tonight, folks.
You said enough names already?
What's that?
You said enough names already?
Yeah, I think so.
There's a few of us. Holy crap, that's a giant field.
It's a massive turnout, isn't it? This field is just, or this series has just gone from strength to strength, isn't it?
Yeah, most leagues, it's the opposite. Most leagues, you start out with 40 people and you go down to 15. You don't start out at 15 and go to 40. So it's starting to show that the quality of racing here, along with some of the extra stuff that happens with the broadcast and what have you, goes to show that this is going to be it's going to be a very, very large league sooner than later. And I think we're going to have some issues, and there are going to be some good issues.
It's just that I don't know what it is. I jumped on tonight and I got that rush of blood just hearing the V8 around the truck like this, just the roar of it. It's just a breath of fresh air to me.
Right on. Yep, so it looks like Jason Martin will lead this field to green flag. Pace car is down, and he's off. He went early.
Certainly did. And we're off here, folks. 70 laps around here as far as fast repairs go later. And last week we saw him tear up their trucks very quickly. But a nice clean start here at Charlotte. So we've got Jason Martin and Cloak in second. Now we can see Danny G. Well, Danny G's in the pits in the number 13, so that doesn't bode well for him.
So we got a clean first lap so far. So we might have some issues back here towards Brett. We're going to call him Brett tonight. Brett G, because I can't pronounce his last name. Number 37, back here in 16th position, is having a wild fight with the number 4 of Kyle Slaga and Thomas Hines in that number 52 Waxit truck.
So now the number 4 Kyle Slaga on the inside of Brett. Let's see if we can make this move. And you're saying earlier that as this race progresses, expect the high line to come in. The other one we spoke about line is the push that these guys can expect.
Yeah, so when you're in this pack like this, you get a draft. There's a huge draft effect. As we see the number 1 truck Phil Lotto on the outside of number 15 of TJ Brown. What you're going to see right now is he got really loose there. What you're going to see right now is that the inside line is going to work really well. The guys out front can run completely flat out for the first couple laps if they don't want to save any tires. They just want to get out there and go. You can see them run flat out. But the bottom line is going to be the line that you want to be in until that right front tire starts to go away. The setup is pretty tight. So you want to try to run a high line and come down, and that's going to help save that right front tire. If not, you're going to see a lot of guys into the outside wall, like we just saw the 15 truck of TJ Brown. He just hit the inside wall, and he's about to lose position to Phil Lotto. Oh, and they touch. The 15 truck of TJ Brown is in the wall after getting tagged, and that's going to cause a huge accident. That's Roger Clark. He's got a blown motor.
Yeah, Danny Vassell went in the back of Roger Clark there as well, but we are not under yellow here, folks, so that's going to be very costly to those 3 drivers for sure. And I guess in that incident, you'd hope the guy you ran into would spin the car, I guess, wouldn't you?
Yeah, because Daniel Stevens, his truck is going to be done until he can get that fast repair in. He's so slow. He may have, I don't think he has a blown up motor, but his truck is definitely slower with that front end damage.
Yeah, well, we saw him go straight in the back, didn't we? And he hit hard, and then Roger Clark was also involved in that incident.
Yep.
So we're riding with the number 18, Danny Vassell, at the moment, and he's sitting in 21st position. You just see that work at the wheel there, and I tell you what, on the outside it looks pretty tame, but jump on the inside with these guys and you can really see them working the track.
Yeah, especially with Bob King up in the 5th place. He is trying to make a move on that 04 with Matthew Collette. He knows that he's faster. Matthew just gets a little loose, and that's going to open up the bottom for Bob King. See if he can hold it and keep that line in there. And I know these tires are worn out just a little bit, so that right front tire might be a a little tight, or it might be a little worn down, but he is able to drive right in there, take a spot, and there is a yellow flag.
Yeah, that's probably saving that because Josh Mickelmore was also making a move at that point in time. But let's see if we can go back and work out what has caused this yellow.
Looks like TJ Brown is not having a good race. Looks like he was caught up in it. Actually, it was just him.
Okay.
Got loose at turn one. Spun it around, smacked into the wall.
See if I can find him here. Looks like there he is in the pits. Let's jump back and see if we can get some of this action.
Yeah, and Jason Ress has actually joined in on it too. He hit him and blew his motor. So that will bring it.
Sorry, go for it.
No, as this bring out the first caution of the race. We're 10 on lap 9, so it looks like James Foster is going to go ahead and take a pit. I think he's about the only one so far, other than the damaged cars.
Yeah, TJ's been jumping in and out as far as telemetry goes here as well. But he was involved in that first incident, wasn't he? And then he's underlined it with the second one. So now we've lost telemetry with him, so yeah, he's having a lot of trouble as far as internet connection goes as well. But having a look at your top 10 at the moment, folks, Jason Martin will lead them away once again. Jake Blackhall in second. Darren McKenzie, he's going to start in the second row with Bob King on the outside of him. Matt Clough in third row. Josh Mickelmore just about made a move on Matt when the yellow came out. Then we've got Matt Raymond and Lewis Hewitt. And then out of the fifth row is Jock Goodyear and Shannon Mason.
Yeah, so this was close. You got Jason Martin, who's showing dominance already in this first run, and he's really shown that he's going to be the guy to beat. You've got the second place of Jake Blackhall, who is trying to move on up, but he just could not catch Jason Martin. I think it might be a little game of cat and mouse between them two. Jake Blackhall might be running a little bit slower on purpose. So we'll see how it goes about.
Meanwhile, for any of the fans out there, Dave Douglas at the moment is down one position. He hasn't been able to make much inroads at all, sitting in 26th position, and he's running third in the championship. So his time's running out here, isn't it? 11 laps down to 70. It's going to go mighty quick if we get more green runs like this.
Yeah, and on the opposite end, one of the new guys to series we were talking about, Scott Butler, he has moved up from the 18th position, currently sitting in 12th. He was a new driver added from the PSS stable just recently. He's going to be their oval driver, so we'll see if he can move on up.
Definitely, we've got him on screen now. One guy we don't have on screen tonight is Edward Foster. And I know he's out there watching the race, wishing he was in the RRTV track, but doesn't look like he made it, but not sure why. I'm sure he'll tell us. He's probably too busy having a barbecue or something. So you can see the pace car out there now. Lights are off. We're going to be going racing back here at Charlotte very, very shortly, and we'll see what they're going to do. But one thing I've noticed, a lot of these guys when they're leading, there's not a lot of gamesmanship going. As soon as it's green, they just go for it. There's none of this, backing up the pack or any of that stuff.
No, because once you start backing to the back, these guys, when you get right up on somebody, you can't see what's in front of you. The trucks are so tall and they're so big, you cannot see what's in front of them. So you see that truck and that's it. If you start to slow the pack up a little bit, then that pack is just going to start to scrunch up. And also, you do have a little bit of a window you can go. Me personally, I like to go a little bit after the pace car. James Martin, it seems to go as soon as the pace car goes down, he's at it. So we'll see if he does that again. As the pace car is still on the field, speed is still at 100 Ks. Pace car is down. He has let up a little bit. That's a little bit different. So as you can see there, that restart was different than the one that he had on the first go. Kind of threw Jake Blackhall off, and he may drop down to 4th position here.
Considering the high line now, he's got Matt Clopey down below him, Josh Nickelmore in the number 2 right behind him, and up in the 51. He's closing the doors over him on the track stage.
Yep, so we'll see if Jake Blackhall can make those positions back, because he was in 3rd at the start of that. Now we've got another caution. Cautions breed cautions.
Certainly do, and that's exactly what we're seeing at the moment. We saw this last week too, and once the momentum was broken up a bit, it took them a bit of time to settle down again and get that groove going. But it looks like Shannon Mason might have brought out the yellow this time.
Yeah, Scott Butler just trying to be a little bit too greedy on trying to pass Shannon Mason, and Mason came down on him. Didn't realize he was there, and that spun him out.
Yeah, right on the tri-oval there. We just got the view there. He did a good job gathering it up, though, didn't he?
Yeah, you've got a lot of room there, so he did manage to keep it together. A lot of guys you'll see, they'll try to save it by trying to keeping the gas in it. They'll end up hitting the pin entry.
So one person that was a winner out of that, Darren McKenzie, he moved up 2 second spot. The loser out of that restart would have to be Jake Blackhall. He moved back to 4th, which isn't exactly disastrous. He gets to have another run, but we've seen him a few times where he either really goes on time or he gets caught out, and I think that was one of them, as we see one of the old trucks down there trying the NASCAR pit bluff, but of course everyone just looks at him and continues on by.
Yep, and that's going to bring Shannon Mason down to pit road. He was in 10th place, and now he's in 30th, so we'll see if he can make up some of those spots.
Yeah, well, the good thing is the truck's not torn up, so he shouldn't have to use a fast repair. He'll probably chuck a set of tyres on it, and they'll send him out again.
Yeah, he has a little bit of left rear damage, but not enough to do anything with it.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be sacrificing a fast repair this early unless you absolutely had to, would you?
Yeah, some of the guys they definitely have to. Him, not so much. We do have one lucky dog coming around. That's going to be the 66 of Daniel Stevens.
Yeah, so he's got his wave by now. You can see him trying to get up there. Having a look at Roger Clark in 9th, he's a lap down. Jason West, he's now 2 laps down, and Danny G, well, he's 7 laps down, so he is not having a good run. But we did see him under green, didn't we, in the first lap, bringing that car down pit road. So we just heard from Edward Foster. He's actually up at Mount Gambier doing some real life racing at the moment, so hopefully you're having a great time up there, Edward, and it's good to see you out there enjoying your motorsport.
Yep, and we do have 2 to go, so we'll have 2 more, or a lap and a half around this 1.5 mile track, as we call it here in the States. I do know it's about 2.5 kilometers around, but here in the States we call them 1.5 miles or cookie cutters, because they look very similar to each other when you're looking at Charlotte, Texas, Atlanta, Kansas, Kentucky, and Vegas. And there's one more, Chicago. They're all similar. They're not the same. None of these tracks drive anywhere close to the same. So it's a bit interesting when you start going different tracks that are classified as the same, because you start to see some of the same names up at the top, but not really.
and that's the thing, isn't it? A lot of people outside of NASCAR would look at this and go, well, it's exactly the same as Road Atlanta or whatever it is. But as you said, each track has their own characteristics. Like I know the guys before the broadcast, they were talking about the lip coming off, I think it was turn 4, and how it can catch you out when you're at speed. And things like all those little bumps they were talking about.
Yeah. So, like, coming off of turn 4, the track goes away from you. So you tend to hit that wall because you would think that the truck's going to hold, but as soon as you come over the hill, it just goes straight into the wall. So you have to actually adjust how you're going to corner. Whereas if you go to Texas or Atlanta, that banking continues all the way until basically the start-finish line. So your truck doesn't do that.
Do, folks, on this restart, we're actually going to jump in to the cockpit here with Lewis Hewitt. He's starting out as 7th on the outside. You can just see how busy these blokes are when we're on the restart. So just now waiting for the pace car to come in, and he's in now. We can see them about to go, and they're off there, and as we jump in now with Lewis Hewitt. And you can just see how much you were saying earlier, Ryan, how much they can't see. And this is back in 7th, and you can just see the guys ahead of them already jostling for position.
Yeah, they get a bit wild. Jake Blackhall was caught out again on that start. He has dropped a number of spots, but also looks like the guy in front of him, Darren McKenzie, he got caught out too. Jason Martin he built these restarts really well. And that's put Jake Blackhall back into the 6th position.
Yeah, he's getting buried, isn't he, when it comes to these restarts. Josh Micklemore's now moved up in front of him, so is Matt Cloak. Darren McKenzie, we're talking about could this be his night. Looking strong in 3rd, right behind Bob King in the 51. Darren now having a look on the inside, shows his nose. Now he's having a problem.
Yep, so Jake Blackhall is trying to use the outside line, see if he can't get around Josh Micklemore here. Looks like he might be able to make it work if he can just get enough speed coming off the corner. It looks like he's going to have him here as we see Matthew Cloak give Darren McKenzie just a slight touch, just a slight bump down the straightaway. And that's going to put Jake Blackhall right up there. He has moved past Jake Micklemore there, and he has cleared the 04 of Matthew Clute, and he is moving back up the field. He is not wanting to settle for 4th place.
He's on the inside now of the 51. That's Bob King getting close there. What's he going to do? Darren McKenzie got a bit slow off that corner. Jake's having a look. Which way is he going to go? High line, low line? He's not quite sure at this point.
You can tell he wanted to make it 3 wide. Ooh, they touched! They touched coming off the corner at 285 kilometers an hour. They're touched from right front tire to left rear tire, and it just, and we got a caution flag. I'm surprised that didn't bring out the caution. That was a lot of control there.
Yeah, we're riding on the roof cam there when they had that touch, and I'll tell you what, it was a bit, how would one say, butt clenching.
Right. And James Foster just got demoed hard. The 18 of Daniel Vassell, he did not give any room for James Foster to come up the track, and that truck is ruined. The 14 truck is ruined.
Yeah, we're having a look now on the straight there, up, over. He went over, but then he got absolutely hammered by the field, didn't he? And, yeah, that truck's toast, I'd say.
Yep. In real life, that would almost certainly end up in some serious injuries or death. We've seen that crash happen more than a few times in real life, and I don't think anybody's come out of that completely unscathed. Somebody gets injured with a crash like that.
Yeah, they're really scary ones, aren't they, when you're sitting out there pretty much sideways on a track and these cars are doing over 300 kilometres an hour. Absolutely no way I can imagine these cars will pretty much almost explode just from the impact.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. You get a wreck like that. As we see Bob King, he's going to give away his top 5 position to go in and take this chance at a pit stop. And so will Matthew Raymond. Matthew Raymond came in from a pretty decent spot. He was pretty well up. He's going to come in, get some new tires, get some fuel. But we'll see how these early stops work for these guys. We're 25 laps in to what is scheduled for 70 laps. So we've actually made some pretty good time here.
Yeah, we certainly have. It's going very quickly, isn't it? We're just, while you were calling that, we're just having a look at the super slow-mo of poor James Foster there in the number 14. I tell you what, he's starting. I'm starting to think he's like this win it or bin it type dude. You know, he's quick as, but tell you what, when he comes unstuck, and that wasn't his fault, he comes unstuck big time.
Yeah, that was definitely not his fault there. That was a bit of racing incident and a bit of no room given by the 18 truck of Daniel Vassell.
Yeah. And he sort of, the way he clipped to the rear of him there, he turned him up the track as well, which is probably one of the most dangerous things NASCAR can do is start going up into that outside wall there.
Yeah, and luckily NASCAR in the real world has implemented these safer barriers. You can kind of see around the track, mostly around the corners, you can see where there's what seems to be a second wall. There seems to be a gap in the wall, and that is part of the safer barrier that NASCAR has implemented since about the mid-2000s. They've decided that this is going to be the safest way to do it. While expensive, it's still the safest way. We've seen some guys take some heavy incidents. Probably the most notable in my head would be Michael McDowell at Texas in 2012, I believe. 2011, 2012, maybe in 2010, where he got spun around in qualifying. It was just him by himself and hit the wall head on, probably at about 285 kilometers an hour. And the truck hit the wall completely head on, rolled all the way down the banking, like doing barrel rolls all the way down the banking. And he hopped out of the car and said, "I'm here," and he was unhurt. They pulled out a backup car and he raced the next day.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a wild ride. I don't think I've seen a bigger hit ever that somebody survived. I still don't think I've seen one.
Yeah, that's a real testament to that safety. We can see it on the screen, that safety barrier. From what I understand, those ribs, I'm not sure if they're actually foam or if they're rubber, but
yep.
It's like a shock absorber, isn't it, to absorb that impact and give them some give to get rid of that energy.
Yeah, so they're sort of a foam mix, and that the wall itself is actually like a foam mix too, but it's like a really hard foam, so it doesn't explode if you just roll on it. But we see Jason Martin here for his third restart. We'll see if he can do what he's done before and just get away from the field.
Drake Blackwell on the inside of Matt Cloud as they go into turn one here, and Drake's waking up by the looks of it. He's getting the hang of this restart.
Yeah, so he had Jason Martin right in front of him, so he had the inside line also, and that's going to help him out extremely well, especially in these restarts.
Also back here to the Corey Rock, he's up 8 positions from where he started. He's having a battle with Jack Butcher and Lewis on the outside in the triple one. I've lost
666. Yeah. Yep. And he's in position 6, so we see Matthew Clute trying to get around Jake Blackhall here. He's going to try the outside and see if he can clear him just like Jake did earlier. Oh, it's a little tag in the wall, not a whole lot. And they're still side by side.
Yeah, he's got the number 2 now.
Oh, we got one truck in the wall. That is this 666. Lewis Hewitt, he was in the wall on entry. He got caught out by that safety barrier because it does protrude out from the wall. He just got caught out just by it a little bit. He has lost a ton of positions, and the yellow is out again.
Yeah, Dave Douglas heavily into the inside wall there. We saw it in the back there. We'll jump back and have a look at this, but that is not what Dave would want to see. He's just coming out of the pits. I'm not sure what he was doing on pit road on the restart, but he didn't get too far and spun it into the wall. So let's have a look.
Yep, so what happened was he got up onto the banking too early, and which allowed that left rear tire to come up off the ground and kind of spun him around like a top.
Yeah, I just saw that, and I'll tell you what, he hit just before the safety barrier, so that's an expensive pit stop, isn't it?
Well, it's expensive in the fact that he will lose a lot of positions as Jason Martin comes down, and so does the field. The field follows him except for Blackhall. Except for Blackhall. Blackhall is the only one who stayed out. So there's a ton of drivers. Pit road is busy.
It certainly is. We can see them now. Darren McKenzie behind Martin there. And Jake Blackhall's one of the only ones that did stay out. Now the back end of the runners are coming through. Let's have a look at who wins on pit road and who loses here. See now Jason Martin, and they're off. Jason got a great stop there. Darren McKenzie at second. Nickelmore looks like he came out fourth just behind the 39 Jack Bridget.
The biggest loser is probably going to be Matthew Clute. He came in, he was in fourth position. Now he's got almost 9 trucks in front of him who pitted. So he lost out a lot of positions there. He only had 3 trucks that came in.
Yeah, he's come out in 17th position, so yeah, he's not going to be happy with that, that's for sure. But one guy, as we were saying, that's not happy will be Dave Douglas. He's gone down a lap after that, and you can see him on the apron now. The other driver's down a lap. The number 14, James Foster, we saw him in the wall. He's used his fast repair, and he's back out there in 36th position. Jason Ress, you can see him coming in to his pit stall now, 2 laps down. Daniel G is 7 laps down. Now we've had a number of retirements here tonight, folks. Shane Whiting in the 333. That truck's gone behind the wall. TJ Brown in the 15, also retired. Riley Curtis in the 93. He's walked away from that truck, and Steve Hopkins, he didn't even make the start.
Yep, and the interesting thing here is you have 2 really fast drivers who are a lap down. They've only got the single lap down between Dave Douglas and James Foster. Both of them are only a single lap down. Whoever's in front of the other when it comes to the next yellow, if we have another yellow, they'll be the one who gets the free pass and go back onto the lead lap. So that'll be an interesting race to keep up with between Dave Douglas and James Foster.
And the winner out of all this, if we look at the points, Dave Douglas is 3rd, James Foster's equal 4th with Roger Clark. Both of those guys are down a lap now, buried deep in the field. If we look at Roger Clark, he's equal on points, and he's sitting up there in 10th, so he could get a haul of points here tonight if he stays out of trouble, and he could jump ahead of those other 2.
Yep, so we have 1 lap to go, and we're only 2 laps away from halfway through this race. So far we have 4 cautions. Jason Martin has led all but the last 3 laps. Jake Blackhall did not come into the pits, but everybody else did. Bob King is now back up in the 2nd place after he pitted earlier on that other pit stop. Matt Stratford will be in 3rd, Matthew Raymond in 4th, Stephen Williams is in 5th, and we have to go all the way back to where are we at? 11th place to find Jason Martin, who pitted.
And a bit more on Jake Blackhall's truck. That is the only truck out there that has not come in 4 tyres since the start of this race. We've seen it a few times where guys do this on half race distance or further and not take tyres. But here we go. What's Jake Blackhall got up his sleeve? And he's off now here, lap 37. 37 laps remaining on the outside here. Bottom 10 on Griffin there, but then Matt Stratford is in fourth. We saw Matt start from dead last tonight.
Yep, and he was pitting basically every caution flag, and when he saw that everybody jumped down, he didn't. So it looked like he's just here to do basically whatever the opposite of the leaders, just to get up front, and that's what he's done. As we see Matthew Raymond go below him as he tapped the wall, and there's another yellow flag that will bring out our, huge wreck. And that's going to include the 39 of, okay, let's get this one all set up here. Jock Goodyear got involved with this one. He's the one who started it. He got loose underneath. Matthew Kloot actually gave him a little nudge, and that's going to send him around, and then everybody was just trying to avoid him, and you just have nowhere to go.
Yeah, that he got into the side of him there, didn't he? And he just started that drift.
If you watch from Norman Clark, he actually avoided a lot of it. A lot of other guys were just trying to make position because they thought it was going to be at the end of it. But Norman Clark got through there really well. Didn't damage the truck up too much.
Yeah, he spotted it well, didn't he? He chose to go to the high side where a lot of the guys went low, and of course you've got the 39 right in front of him. And I'll tell you what, those blokes that went low, they hit him pretty hard as well, didn't they?
Yeah, so the drivers that are involved here, Scott Butler, Terry Marwood will be involved here, Laketion Smith in the 911 truck. The 36 truck of James Roby was in this also. And Shannon Mason was again in this one. Shannon's just not having a good night tonight. He's getting caught up in everybody else's stuff. And we also have Phil Otto was involved in this. Jock Goodyear, like I said earlier, was involved in his. And let's see what else here. The number 555 of Lake Muir, Luke Muir was in it. Daniel Stevens again is in it. So it's a rough night for some of our front runners in points.
Yeah, Daniel's having a real rough night. But I'll tell you what, one thing this has done is Dave Douglas got the waiver out. He's in 33rd, but importantly he's on the lead lap again. Looking down though, James Foster did not get a waiver round, so he's not converted. And James Robbie in the 36, well, he doesn't look like he's coming out anytime soon. I'd hazard to guess he ran out of fast repairs, and the pit crew are going to have to go to work now.
One thing we didn't catch is that Jake Blackhall pitted. Jake Blackhall pitted, and he will now be starting 27th position. So I don't know if I would have been that brave that after I just saw what happened, go ahead and hop into the pits and be back in the back with those guys. That might have been might be the one that loses him this race. We'll see if he can make it through this pack, but so far what we've seen, that these guys are not being able to run that long into a series. We have just over 30 laps remaining in this race.
Yeah, exactly. And if we look at Dave Douglas, who's down 34th there, he has made absolutely no inroads through this massive field tonight. So maybe Jake knows something we don't, but he's going to have his work cut out for him starting 27th. And it's going to be a does love coming through the field. It's one of his specialties, but I tell you what, I don't know if I'd want to roll the dice, as you said, this late in the race to be so far down in the field.
Yeah, well, not so much roll the dice in, getting pits, You haven't really had that many green flag laps. Your tires shouldn't be that worn. Granted, you have had about 10 lap sections, so you have about 15 green laps on them. But if you're coming down for fuel, I can see that. If you're coming down for tires, I don't think I see that play. But we'll go ahead and see what happens here. Bob King will be leading the field this time around. Matt Stratford's on the outside of him. Bob King goes as soon as the pace car drops, and he will dart away. Matt Stratford tries to block off Matthew Raymond here. I do not think he's going to enjoy that too much. So Matthew Raymond just tries to keep his nose in there. Ooh, that was close. That was close. Matt Stratford will hang on to the second position.
Yeah, and I think Matt's strategy there, he did the right thing. He was well down in the field, wasn't he? Really, he used that to jump them. Now he's up the point with 31 laps to go. And you can just see he does have the pace, but Matt Raymond right behind him. It looks like it's a bit quicker than that 83.
Yeah, that's what the draft is going to do for you. It's going to make you look a lot quicker than you think that you are. Your truck's going to close up real close on them on the straightaway, and then you're going to lose it as the number 98 of Stephen Williams tries to make a move underneath him. Don't think it's going to work. He's got that right front damage on the truck, and that's not going to work there, as they are almost 3 wide behind him, with Roger Clark leading Brett G, Jason Martin, Kyle Sluggett, and Josh Martinez. There's a wreck right there. The 37 is around. The 4 is in the wall. No caution just yet. They're still green. Still green flag racing.
Oh, there's a big one into the wall.
Yeah, that was 36. 36 is in the wall, and that probably is going to bring out the caution. Still does not bring out the caution.
I'll tell you what, it's become a demolition derby out here.
There it goes.
Man, that must have been the world's longest wreck. I think it went for half the lap.
Yeah, because there was even more that was happening on the front stretch with even more. There's a 94 truck of, let's see here, Scott Butler. He's around. He got turned by the 40, which started that one. Yeah, he just came down on the 40 truck. Didn't give the 40 truck any room, and that caused the second one. And Jake Blackhall was right there when that happened. And that's going to cause another turn 4 accident.
Yeah, we're seeing Jake here now. What's he doing? He's going for the high side. And then the 18 absolutely nailed the 94. I think Jake did getting out of jail there going high. But there was also a car behind them that went off that brought out the yellow, I think. And not sure who that was, but he hit the wall really hard. Dave Douglas also around. You can see the 11 on the infield. That's Norman Clark. He didn't get away with it this time, but his car's straight, so that's probably one good thing for him tonight.
Yeah, so all that stemmed from that first accident from James Foster when he dove down underneath the 37 truck. Because what happened was that everybody went to avoid the wreck before, and they were still flat out. There was a bunch of people who were still flat out. Shannon Mason was one that poked out to me, and he was still trying to make spaces, even though it was a losing battle for him, and he's lost out pretty well because of it.
Yeah, I guess in that situation, what do? I guess you're going to lift off the accelerator and you're going to listen to your spotter to try and work out where that truck in front of you is going to go.
Yeah, I mean that's normally what I do. If I see a wreck in front of me, I'll let off. Even if it's not going to be a even though it's not going to be a I'm probably going to lose some positions. I'm going to have my truck clean, and I won't make the accident happen. I don't want people not to want to race around me. So, like what Shannon Mason did, I probably wouldn't have done. I wouldn't just keep the foot in the floor and try to dodge and weave like you're in Days of Thunder. Or like what Scott Butler was doing when he changed lines. And that's what caused that huge accident there on the backside. He was on the top of a 3-wide situation. His spotter would have said he was 3-wide. When he came down, even though his spotter never cleared him. He may have thought that he cleared that middle car, that middle truck, but that bottom truck was still there, and it got him spun out, and his race is probably ruined now.
Yeah, we're seeing a bit of that, aren't we, tonight? People's race is ruined. Just checking with the folks back there. They're saying my mic's a bit low, but hopefully we'll get that sorted out soon. But having a look where Jake Blackhall is, he's now up to 16th position, so 25 laps remaining here. Thanks to that massive crash, he's jumped up about 11 positions.
Yeah, you know, if you can just keep your truck straight, you don't have to keep going down the pits to keep fixing your truck. You can do some damage around here.
Oh, you certainly can, and we're just having a look at the latest retirements here, folks. After that wreck, we lost Kai Sloggett in the number 4, Daniel Vassell in the 18, and James Foster in the 14. Looks like all their trucks are being put on the transporter, or what's left of them anyway, and taking them back to the workshop. Yeah, so apparently my mic's still quiet. It's up as max as I can, so maybe it's just the noise of the trucks, eh? Now I sound like Canadian. I'll turn down the truck volume a little bit, although I really hate doing that, because that's the beauty of V8, it's just the roar, isn't it?
Yeah, this iRacing thing's a bit loud. I've noticed that you can turn down your volume through the volume mixer. If you right-click the sound tab on your bar,
yeah,
you can get a little bit more control over your sound.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do, and the sound is at 22%, so it's very low. Yeah.
Yep. So, anyways, here we go with Bob King leading the way. Matt Stratford has not less than a meter in between him and the 51 truck. He wants to know exactly when he's going, and he's gone now. 83 has missed a shift, and he will drop back a couple of positions. The 83 truck of Matthew Raymond.
Yeah, just got him on screen there now. He's got Josh Micklemore on the outside of him, just ahead of him in the 08. 09, sorry, is Roger Clark. He's having a good run tonight, Roger is, and Darren McKenzie further down. He's down there with Matt Clough on the inside of him, and the 21, Jason Martin, just ahead of them. But as they come through the 2 and 83, nearly bang doors as they come down the tri-oval.
Yep, and you see them 2 by 2 starting getting about the 5th position. With the Roger Clark truck there in 4th. Yeah, you got Micklemore up there on the high side, Josh Micklemore. He is trying to make the pass work on the outside of Roger Clark, and he will make it stick and run around him. So Josh Micklemore is making his way up the pack.
Yeah, now Raymond Yeager's going on the high line there with Matt Raymond. Darren McKenzie, he's sitting in the middle of the track now. He's just looking at who's going to get the momentum. He's decided now he's going to place his bets on Raymond Yeager. And as they go too wide up here into what turn 2 I think it is.
Yep.
It's getting interesting back here.
Yep. So Darren McKenzie he's trying to find a way past all these trucks all at once. So as we enter turn 1 and turn 2. Coming through turn 2 here, he's got the 83 truck below him, and that 83 truck of Matthew Raymond is moving back severely as Darren McKenzie tries to go low. Will he make the stick with Raymond Yeager? Oh, he just moves up just a little bit, that's going to slow him down. He's going to have to block the 83 or the 21, depending on how he feels. The 83 is going to have the high line.
Yeah, that's right. It's the 83, that's Matthew Raymond. We saw him going back. We've got a car very high up into the wall behind them, but we're continuing on here at Charlotte.
Yep, that's Matthew Clote. He actually got loose going into turn 1. Just lifted off the gas just a little too fast, turned in a little too quickly also, and that's going to do it for you.
Yeah, it certainly is. He's all the way down here in 23rd now, recovering from that. At the moment, up front, it's Bob King leading the way. Matt Stratford sitting in second. And then we've got Stephen Williams, Josh Micklemore fighting it out for third and fourth. Fifth is Roger Clark. He's defending now from Darren McKenzie, who's on the march forward in the number 75.
Yeah, Darren McKenzie is absolutely moving right now. He's using up every bit of that truck. Whatever it's got left in it, he wants it. He's going after the 09 truck of Roger Clark. See if he can't make that pass happen, as Josh Micklemore is trying to make a move on Stephen Williams. That didn't work either. So it looks like the high line is where you want to be, and that's where Darren McKenzie is trying to go with Roger Clark. You can see him just barely get up above him.
Yeah, he's searching, isn't he? He's wondering where the fastest line is. As you can see, that 24-degree banking on the gyro cam really showing how steep that banking is. But one of the viewers, that was Edward Foster, was saying Bob King, our leader, he's actually a dirt track guy, so he's doing an awesome job out here leading this field tonight.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can learn from dirt track into asphalt, mostly on how to drive a loose truck. If you drive one of these things loose, you're going to be fast. Loose is fast around these tracks.
Yeah. It's interesting because this is a fixed setup series. Oh, we've got a car around. I'm not sure who that was. I'm trying to go back. He saved it. He's just down on the apron. Just bringing it up.
So that was the 666 of Lewis Hewitt. Hit the apron, got the truck loose. Luckily, he saved it, so he's not going to lose a whole lot. So we'll see when he passes the line where he finishes. He'll be in 14th position now. So he only lost a couple of positions, but he lost a lot of track spot, a lot of track spacing. Jake Blackhall. Remember when we said we don't believe that was a good deal? He's now up into the 11th position. That number 97 truck. He is absolutely on a mission. He's now about to attack Matthew Raymond here, see if he can't get back to the high side. Oh, they got a truck in front of him spun.
Yeah, I could see that coming. That was Micklemore and who was it? Stratford. They were banging panels going down the front straight. Micklemore had enough, and he's turned him.
Yeah, Matthew Stratford he's definitely a little bit more aggressive than some of these drivers. And I don't think Micklemore liked it too much.
No, they're going down. You could just see them banging into each other. And I think Micklemore's decided enough's enough. He dropped back, and we'll have a look at this to see. Yeah, there they go into the fence again. Well, into the wall. And at that point, Micklemore's lost momentum, and he's spun Stratford here.
Yeah, that was that definitely looked slightly intentional, mostly intentional.
Yes.
Yeah, because the number 2 of Micklemore did not like the fact that he got almost put into the wall there by Stratford. Stratford kept his truck up way up high going into the corner and just pushed him into the wall.
And that, folks, in super slow-mo is how you do the pit manoeuvre.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I could see it when they were banging into each other as like, okay, it's on here. But Micklemore had enough, and Stratty, where's he now in the field?
He's in 27th currently.
Yeah. So his run is done with 11 laps to go here. Now, I've seen something like this happen when I was a kid up in Dirt Speedway, and a similar thing happened where a bloke spun another car into the fence, and the guy was in the fence, and as the other driver came around, he actually put it in reverse and reversed straight into him, destroying his car as well as his own. But the funniest thing was, as a kid, was when the big mechanic came out and started chasing the driver up the track, because he knew he had to fix the damn thing, and he wasn't very impressed.
Yep, it's oval track racing it brings out the bogan in everybody. That's for sure. Doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah, it's one thing I miss in Canberra here, because we don't have a speedway anymore. I think you got to go to Goulburn, I think, to get a speedway now, which is sacrilege if you ask me.
Yeah, so after the Martinsville race this year, there is a Twitter page called NASCARism, and they just make fun of NASCAR the whole time. And one of the tweets they said is, Martinsville is like a big family reunion. Everybody shows up happy, expecting it to be great, and there's a little bit of bumping and banging, fights ensue, and nobody leaves happy.
Sounds like Christmas to me.
Yeah, family reunion, Christmas, it all works out the same.
Yeah, it's
but it was. Yep. That's about how it happens, and that's how short track racing is. You know, you show up, you have a little bit of bumping and banging, you leave, and nobody's happy. Nobody's happy at all. So we'll see after this race if anybody's happy. I'm sure if Josh McLemore, who has started to put his foot down and make his way through, he's wanting to leave here happy with the first place position.
Yeah, well, he's up there in second, but Matt Stratford is in 21st. I tell you what, if Matt can get up the pointy end in 10 laps, which I doubt, I think Micklemore's going to have to keep a very close eye on his mirrors, because I reckon that 41 might have his number.
Yeah, the number 2 truck, he's moving. It's going to be a wild finish here. It's going to be 9 laps. Actually 8 laps, and we do want to see this go green. I don't think it's going to go green the whole way, but if it goes green the whole time, I do believe this is going to be a wild finish between McLemore, Bob King, and Darren McKenzie. But I'm not sure about the Steve Williams car. We haven't really heard a whole lot out of him. He started in 37th position. He's up in the 3rd. So we'll see if he can pull this one out, because that's quite a feat to do that.
Yeah, he'll get the biggest mover award in that Mossy Oak entry, that's for sure. But yeah, that's a massive feat, isn't it? And it'll be interesting to see what he does bring to the table when this pace car goes in. But I tell you what, that 75, we were talking about it in the pre-race show, it could be his night. And I tell you what, he's in a darn good position to capitalise on this.
Yeah, if Bob King and Micklemore get into it, he could be in a good spot. Or even Stephen Williams. Or, who's in 5th place, Jason Martin, as Bob King leads us to what's hopefully the final restart of the race, and he gets a good one.
Yeah, we're just right in there with Darren McKenzie, who did not get too good a start. He's up high there. He's got below him Steve Williams. I hear it banging in the background.
Yep, and we have another caution.
Just trying to work out who that one is. I could hear it.
Danny G is involved in it, that is for sure.
Matt Stratford.
But did not cause it.
No, Roger Clark's motor's blown, so I have a feeling he was involved.
Yep. Roger Clark tried to dive below to 37. Matt Stratford was there, and that's where it ended.
And it's blowing the 09's engine, and I tell you what, he was looking good earlier in the night, but it doesn't take long.
Matt Stratford was hanging back really far, though. And Roger Clark got a good run up on the 37, but the 41 of Matt Stratford was there, so I think if Matt Stratford had pulled up a little bit, he would have been he'd have been a lot better off, because he left that huge gap there, and it shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Yeah, and the unlucky number 13 ran into the side of of the number 9, Roger Clark, and the 13 is toast as well. And it's ripped the whole front off that car. That's Danny G. Yeah, he's ripped. I've not seen a truck that doesn't have a front end before, but that's exactly what this one is.
Yep. So we will have another restart.
Yeah, so looking at that incident, Roger actually got into the side of the 37. That was Brett Garitas. And then as they turned, Stratford was coming on the inside there. There was the overlap, and that's what's sent Roger and Matt into the wall there. As we can see now, one of the cars getting a wave around. That was, we had him earlier, forgotten his name now. How's that?
Scott Butler would get the wave around. And
Yeah.
Shannon Mason is waiting to pass the pace car. So once we get the one to go green, he will go ahead and go around and get the wave around to start on the back end.
Yeah, so Scott Butler he was 2 laps down. He's had the wave around. He's now 1 lap down. Roger Clark, that truck is done. He's 1 lap down at the moment as well. George Fullerton in the 500 Violet Crumble entry is 2 laps down. We've got Luke Muir 3 laps. Danny G, well, that truck's toast. It's not going anywhere. So his night's run. And Jack Goodger is also in the pits, licking their wounds, and so is James Robbie. So we've got quite a lot of wounded trucks out here tonight.
Yeah, and that's what you're going to have with the 40 truck field sometimes. You're going to have a lot of crashing, especially in these shorter races. But next year, they're actually putting on the full length races once a month for 10 months out of the year. So basically a year-long race series, and it's going to be pretty wild.
Yeah, it's going to be full on, and it's not in the trucks from what I understand either. They'll be
no, it's in the A class, the Monster Cup cars.
Yeah, so that'll be really good, and that's a good thing about this league. They're really starting to find their straps, aren't they, and getting moving forward, and that's their goal. They want this to be the premium NASCAR down under ANZCAR series, and I think they're doing it the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they're doing something right. The numbers are going up in a league with no prizes. So that's always a bit odd, but it's always a good odd.
Yeah, that's right. And I tell you what, that incident with Micklemore Stratford, it's drawn the ire of a couple of spectators out there that they weren't too impressed on that. But others are just annoyed because we've had so many pace cars. But how many we're up to now? Must be about 9, maybe 10.
I don't think we're that far up. I think we're about 7 or 8. We've had some good green flag racing, and with 4 laps to go in this race, it's gonna be mental. If the next flag will end the race, if it's white flag, then we'll have 1 lap of full on. If it's yellow, then the field is frozen. So we will have some more overly aggressive driving as Bob King leads the field again, and he gets a huge jump on Micklemore. See if Micklemore can make up that time in 4 laps.
Yeah, well, King knows that if he's like what he's done in the front, he stands a very good chance of taking this win tonight if there's an incident behind them. But at the moment, Micklemore, Darren McKenzie is starting to catch King now, but that gap's still out 2 car lengths as we're coming down to 2 to go here at Charlotte.
Yep, and Micklemore is actually being under attack by the 75 of Darren McKenzie. McKenzie is going high, see if he can make it move around the number 2 truck, or if the number 2 can clear him and move. Oh, he touched him. He's in the wall. McKenzie has dropped a huge number of spots, and that's going to wreck his race.
we're having a look at the moment, and Mackenzie's all the way down in 13th position, still dropping.
Oh, the huge wreck! That's going to end the race.
Yeah, that was a 6.74 there.
Oh no, it's the final lap. It's the final lap.
So they'll race
still
to
have
the
the white
end.
flag. Yep, they'll race to the checkered. So we'll see Bob King here. He is leading the race. All hands on deck here for Bob King. He's got to make it around turn 4, which he does, and he will win here at Charlotte.
Micklemore second, third Jason Martin. Thomas Hinds in the Waxit entry comes fourth. And rounding out your top 5, folks, is the number 98 Stephen Williams. But let's jump back to this incident with the 674 Daniel Trim, and he's missing the back end of the truck, and it's crabbing like, well, a crab. So we'll jump back and have a look at this, because it was nasty.
Yeah, that was a huge hit from Daniel Trim. That set off a pretty big incident train there.
It certainly did. You can see the 674 now. We just got into the side of Mackenzie there, and they come down, and I don't know, Mackenzie didn't come down. It was more Danny Trim turned up into him and got turned, but check out the safety fence at work here. He got massive height.
Yeah, that was, I don't know, it was a racing incident there. They're both running for the same spot, and I think Danny Trim was not wanting to stay that low, but also it was a mix of Darren McKenzie thought that he was just going to follow the 30, because at that point he can't see. He can't see where he's going, so he's just assuming that Danny's just going to follow the 30, and he doesn't, and that ends his race.
Yep. And he was classified 25th. That's a 674. We can see him on the screen now, just on the replay there. But I tell you what, that race went off, didn't it? But don't take anything away from Bob King. He absolutely dominated this last half of the race there. He got the restarts right. He knew he had to go. And if we break it down, 3 cars led. Bob King, he led 35 laps of this race. And Jason Martin, he led 30. The only other car to lead 5 laps was Jake Blackwell, and he finishes down in 8th position. So, he was in recovery, wasn't he, after that pit stop, and he managed to get it back up to 8th by the end of the night. Yeah,
and I think if we had more cautions, or if we had more green flag, not more cautions, if we had more green flag racing, I think he would have moved up a lot better.
Yeah, definitely. It was one of those funny things, wasn't it? It started well, they got 10 laps in, and then these cautions started to breed cautions, and of course it culminated in that massive accident at the end tonight. But fortunately it's sim racing, so they all get to play another day. But let's go through the final results here. And tonight's win, round 10, goes to Bob King, up 4 positions from where he started and takes the win. Josh Micklemore comes home in second. Then we have Jason Martin third. Thomas Hinds up 15 positions, but my hat goes off to the number 98 Stephen Williams. Didn't see much of him, up 32 positions from where he started to come home in 5th. Raymond Yeager, another big mover, up 27 positions to come home in 6th. In 7th night was Corey Ott. Jake Blackhall, he recovers in 8th. 9th was Matthew Raymond. 10th, Lewis Hewitt. It sounds like a band, Louis Hewitt and the News, but that's probably something else. Terry Marwood in 11th, up 28 positions. Steve Catalano, we didn't see a lot of him either, coming home up 10 positions in 12th. 13th, Gavin Sadler up 19. Darren O'Brien 14th up 26, and the list goes on, doesn't it? Lachlan Smith 15th. Matt Stratford, he comes home in 16th position. Dave Douglas, he was having a rough one, wasn't he? But he managed to get it back to 17th position at the end of the night to save some sort of points. Norman Clark comes home in 18th. 19th, Craig Lawless. 20th was Brian James Jones. 21st, Brett Garitas. Then we had Shannon Mason classified in 22nd. 23rd, Daniel Stevens. And then 24th was Phil Otto. 25th goes to the 674, and he gets the Pirouette Award tonight. 26th, Darren McKenzie in the 75, and it was looking so promising with 4 to go, but it all came to a stop, didn't it? 27th, Scott Butler. 28th, the 500, George Fullerton. 29th goes to Luke Muir, followed by Roger Clark in 30th. 31st, Matt Clote. Then we had Danny G, 32nd. Jack Godger comes home in 33rd. 34th, Kai Sloggett. Daniel Vessel in 35th. James Foster, he finishes in 36th. Now in the retirements here, James Robbie was classified 37th. 38th was Jason Ress. Shane Whiting classified in 39th. TJ Brown in 40th. 41st, and our first retirement was the 93, Riley Curtis. And Steve Hoppett, he did not make the start tonight. So, who do you reckon drive of the night would be tonight here, Ryan?
I'm going to say Bob King. He drove a really good race in the beginning, and he made a very questionable call to us in the very beginning to take that early pit stop. That seemed to work out really well for him, considering all the cautions we had towards the back end of the race. He pitted earlier than everybody, and then when everybody came into the pits, he got that spot back, and he was up front with him and Jake Blackhall, and then Blackhall made that pit later on, which gave up his position. And so I think Bob King is going to be my driver of the day for sure.
Yeah, and the biggest mover is to the 98, Stephen Williams, up 32 positions. We saw him at that restart, and when you were calling him out, I was wondering where the heck he came from, because we didn't see a lot of him tonight, but 5th position from 37th in the field. That's an awesome drive.
Yeah, so he was part of that group who pitted the pit before everybody came in, and then he was part of that, along with Raymond Yeager and the Tori Maru guys. And I believe Thomas Hines was part of that also, where there was about the back 20 didn't pit, but the front 20 did.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting when they unpack the points here, folks, because the guys leading this championship when we were coming in was Jason Martin. If we look further down, where was Jason placed? He came home 3rd, so that's a good result for him. Jake Blackhall, he was leading the championship with quite a gap. He's finished 8th, but the other one that was running in 3rd, Dave Douglas, finishes down there in 17th, and I tell you what, it's a bit of a surprise here, Ryan. I thought it was going to be a lot worse than that when we saw him into the wall earlier.
Yeah, and I thought beginning into the race, like, we'd seen that his qualifying times weren't there and his practice time, and I was like, man, after the win last week, you'd think he'd come back into a track slightly similar. You have to drive kind of the same, but it's a lot flatter over there, so it's a lot of more rolling through the center. But you come onto a track like this, and I think if it went green, I think if the race went green, we would have seen him a lot further up. But after his couple of crashes, coming home 17th, that is a day saver for sure, because he even gained 8 positions over his starting spot. So that was a good finish for him, barring everything that happened. So we'll see the racing next week.
Yeah, definitely. And if we break down 10 rounds here, 3 wins went to Jason Martin, 3 have gone to Jake Blackhall. We've had Josh Micklemore, he won on debut. Dave Douglas won, I think it was last week. I'm pretty sure it was last week. Then we've got Bob King tonight taking the win. So the champagne is definitely being shared around a number of drivers here, which is great because it means it shows how competitive this series is becoming.
Yeah, and you saw the beginning of the season where it was just Jason and Jake. It was a Jason Jake show. It was one or the other was going to win. You had a couple of guys who could move up the field and race close to him, but he just couldn't get there. But now you're starting to see those guys are starting to figure the truck out a little bit better, starting to learn how to drive these trucks, and it's starting to put Jake Blackhall and Jason Martin further and further back. I know they started 1-2 tonight, but they did not finish 1-2, and they struggled all night to get up.
Yeah, that's right. And we've got a few of the guys down there in the green room waiting to come up here, and we'll bring them up, I guess, one by one. Having a look here, how should we do this? You reckon start furthest down the grid and move up to the pointy end as we go? Or do you want to start with...
Let's go ahead and start on the pointy end.
All right. So the first one will be Josh Mickelmore, and we might have a chat to him about that little contact contest he had and get his point of view of this. Do you reckon we should?
Absolutely, yeah. Let's talk to him. Ask him about what he thought about his driving today.
Yeah. So first up in the comm box tonight is Josh Mickelmore. Firstly, Josh, congratulations, mate. Coming home second tonight in the number 2. Great driving, but I want to go back to the contact you're having with Matt Stratford there. It looked like you guys were trading blows up until he got spun there.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad until that. I think what was it, turn 4 or that 58, I think. He just looked like he wanted to put me up on the wall, and he touched me and almost hit the wall, but got off it. So, I don't take no crap. So I'll just give it right back. If I'll race clean, but if you want to race dirty, I'll race fairly as well. If he wants to race like that, so yeah.
Yeah, we caught it on there. We could see some door banging going there, and then we did see Matt come up into you just before you lost a bit of momentum and exercised the old pit manoeuvre there and spun him out. But I thought the temperature between you two was getting a bit high there, so thanks for confirming that. But I tell you what, you had an awesome race, though. You're up there in the pointy end tonight, and a good strong finish there in second, so you'd have to be happy with your performance tonight.
Yeah, it was very hard to pass tonight. So before, I think we pitted on lap 30 or 31 or something, but before then was barely able to pass. So a lot of cars in front of us had older tyres, so I was able to get around them and that. But yeah, I think King pitted a few on the pit stop before us, so yeah, his tyres are still pretty good. But yeah, I think he would have won it anyway, so that was a good win for him, for Bob.
Yeah, it was an awesome win, wasn't it? He led half the race tonight. But as far as your tyres on the truck went, did they wear better than what you were expecting tonight, or just tell the viewers a bit about it?
Yeah, because we had so many caution laps, we didn't really get a hell of a lot of racing time on the actual tyres. So I think on my right sides I was still 96, 97, believe it or not. So with the tyre wear percentage. So the tyre wear was quite low, but because of all the caution laps.
Yeah. And I guess in the last restart there, did you expect it to run to the end, or were you expecting a yellow finish tonight?
Yeah, no, I was expecting a yellow finish tonight.
We almost got it. I tell you what, with the 674 Danny Trim, tell you what, he was higher than the safety fence there at the end. It's a massive incident. But yeah, I'm going to hand you over now to Ryan Shelton, the co-commentator here tonight, and see, Ryan, if you've got any more questions for Josh.
Yeah, man. I noticed, you got kind of put back in the field after that after your pit stop, you're going through. When you're going through that field, like, do you know going onto the back stretch what line you're about to take?
Yeah, it's depending on where the cars are in front of me. I know sort of what line they got to go for, and I know what sort of tyres they're on, so I usually be able to go around them if you keep your foot in it with the good tyres I had compared to the other guys. So, depending on where, if they were side by side, so I had to hang back a bit and just wait. But yeah, if they were single, I knew they'd go down the pole line. I'd try around the outside. So,
Yeah, and I noticed there was a lot of passing on the outside. Was it really hard to pass on the inside?
Yeah, it was actually, because on the exit it'd get a bit tight, and you'd creep up the track a bit. You don't want to hit them, obviously, but so yeah, on exit it was a bit tighter trying to pass, but yeah.
And one thing that I noticed that I don't really notice when I've been racing before, was the setup really loose going into turn one?
No, not really. No.
Okay. Because we had a lot of people get loose going into turn one, and it caused a couple of accidents there.
Yeah, no, definitely wasn't loose for me.
Yeah, true. Alrighty, well, good job on the second place finish. So your average finishing position so far is 1.5. So if you can keep up the streak, you might have the best finish position for anybody in the league.
Yeah, right. That's all right.
All right, Josh, before we let you go, mate, have you got any sponsors you'd like to give a shout out to?
I don't really have any sponsors. I race for a Nexus Esports racing team over in America. I race for those boys in the NIS Open Series, so I'll just have a shout out for those boys, and yeah, that's about it really. So.
Fantastic. Well, we look forward to catching up with you again next Thursday night. Not sure where we're going, but I'm sure it'll be fun.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'll be there.
Awesome, mate. See ya.
All right, see you, mate. Cheers.
So that was Josh Micklemore, folks. Second tonight, and yeah, we picked it, didn't we, about the contact there. You there, Ryan? Or are you gone?
Absolutely, I'm here. No, I'm here.
I was waiting for a comment, but yeah, let's move down. It must be, what time is it over there for you? It must be just about 6.
Oh, it's 6:30 in the morning.
Yep, there you go.
I'm good still. I have to stay up for another 3 hours before I can go to sleep. So I work tonight. So
okay, yeah, fair enough. But let's bring Jason Martin up, and I'll let you have a chat with him, and you can start the interview.
what is going on, Jason Martin? It looked like a pretty eventful race for you. You started out up front, leading a ton of laps, and then you pitted. And tell us what happened after that.
Yeah, the setup was really tight, so it made passing almost impossible. So once you got back in the pack, it was just so hard to move back up the field.
Yeah, we noticed that you started your restart. You were in 9th position. You made your way all the way up to 3rd. I know you said it was difficult to pass, but passing 6 cars with only about 7 laps of green flag racing is it's pretty good to me. Did you make up a lot of those just by having good restarts?
No, I'm probably one of the worst restarters there is. I just take it too easy. But I think a couple of guys ahead wrecked, and then I was able to make a couple of moves once we got going.
Yeah. I mean, it did seem like it was a bit hectic out there. Did you see a lot of over-aggressive driving out there also?
Yeah, so a lot of people driving it extremely hard into turn 1. And because there were so many yellows, the tyres just didn't wear.
Yeah. I noticed there was more than a few. And your incident with the number 37 truck, that was just him coming down on you, or what do you think about that one?
Yeah, from my point of view, I was going on the inside. I had the momentum, and then he just chopped down in front of me. But it might have looked different to you guys.
Yeah, and I think I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I do remember seeing it. I can't make a judgment right now because I don't remember actually what happened. But I'm sure Bernie might have a few other questions for you too.
Yeah, Jason, we're looking at the points coming into this round, and we were tipping a battle between yourself and Jake there, but Bob King came in and did an absolutely awesome job tonight. As far as points go, though, I think you came out of it pretty well tonight.
Yeah, but I think missing the race at Mosport will really cost me, so I think it's pretty much over, and Jake was going to hang on for the win now.
Yeah, we've still got 2 rounds to go, so Jake had quite a big gap, so it'll be interesting to see how those points come out. But even if you think the championship is out of reach, are you still going to come and enjoy the final 2 rounds with us here?
Yeah, I think it's still pretty close for second, and I absolutely love Phoenix, so I should enjoy that race.
Yeah, fantastic. And I guess the size of the field, what's your thoughts on that? We had 41 starters tonight, so it's looking pretty healthy, I think.
Yeah, it's great to see so many people joining and having fun, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. And, well, before we let you go, Jason, you got any sponsors you'd like to give a shout out to?
No sponsors, but I'll just like to thank Michael Korolev for the wonderful paint job.
Yeah, we've got it on screen at the moment, the Fox Racing Show paint job. It's very striking, so good job there by Mike Korolev. So Mike, he does that as a sort of sideline, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So if people wanted to reach out to him to get a paint job, do you know where they could do that?
Yeah, if he's taking requests, I highly recommend him.
Fantastic. Well, folks, you can find Mike on the iRacing service, and as you can see, he does a darn good job on that. But anyway, Jason, thanks for popping in, mate. We look forward to seeing you next week, and it should be more fun.
Yep, okay, guys. Thanks.
See you, mate. Okay, going down our list, the next one is Thomas Hens in the Waxit entry, and we'll have a very quick chat with him because I'm keen to get Jake Blackwell up here to get his point of view. And then, of course, we've got Mr. Pirouette down there in the green room, and that's Denny Trim.
Yeah, he definitely took a spin tonight.
So next in the com box is Thomas Hens. Well done, Thomas. 4th position again tonight, running the Waxit paint job. So yeah, it looked like you had a pretty good run out there where there was a lot of action around you. How did it go from you? Did you get caught up in much?
Yeah, well, you pretty much banged it on the head, really. Yeah, it was, there was a few people going into the wall around me. I think there was, who was a jock, I think, when he lost it out of 4, was basically right in front of me. I managed to just get through that without any troubles. Yeah, I think I managed to get through that, any contact at all. So it was a very clean run for me, which was great. Yeah, I guess it was, a couple of close ones with people in the wall and stuff made things, had to keep your head on a swivel a bit. But no, it was generally pretty good and pretty clean at my end. Quali didn't go, probably as well as it could have. I think I sort of stuffed up through 3 and 4. I didn't quite carry as much speed as I probably should have. Really, I went a bit too high, so the lap wasn't perfect. So it was buried in the pack a bit. So I just tried to concentrate on keeping it clean and kind of picking my way through over the course of the race, and got the strategy, I think, pretty much as right as I could have thereabouts. Probably it was a good strategy. I pretty much just I basically just went with what Jason went in the end. So basically mirrored his strategy, and it seemed to work all right, I guess, which is good. And yeah, just kept the tyres going, kept clear of the instance, and found myself in 4th at the end, which is great. So yeah, I wasn't really thinking I'd get a top 5 after that. I think it was 2-3 cautions. Before the end, I was sitting in about, I think it was 8th, 9th or so. I was like, maybe I could I guess 6 or 7 something, that'd be cool. And then at the end there, people who had pitted early were dropping off the tyres, and suddenly I was like in fourth, and I was like, oh, here we go. And I was actually just right up the chuff of Jason there. I was actually challenging him for position, which was good. So no, it was a good fun night. It was a good night. Probably a few too many cautions for my liking, but Charlotte, 41 cars, it's always going to be a bit caution filled. So not as bad as I've seen, but could have been a bit better maybe, but that's okay. It's still a good result, another top 5, and I'll happily take that.
So what was it like starting down there in 19th? So I predict you were pretty busy at the start of this race tonight.
Yeah, well, as always, because me, Corey, and Shannon and Matt, all the SP5 guys, are all in the Discord there, just chatting during the race, and we're keeping in contact. And as I said to them when we started racing, I said I was already preparing by internally crying, basically. I was already basically falling apart, expecting it to just get wrecked, in the first 10 laps. I was assuming, that's why I was genuinely assuming I was not going to last too long, or I'd get involved in something in the first half, because when you're buried in the mid-pack like that, especially around a track like Charlotte, you tend to get involved in something. But managed to keep it clean and get a bit lucky like that, and avoid major shenanigans. Ended up just slowly, a bit like at Chicago Land was the same. I started even further back, and I sort of just slowly kept it clean and started chipping away and going up the field as the race went on. So similar sort of thing. But yeah, no, I was certainly expecting it to be a lot worse than it ended up being at the start. But thankfully, it all panned out quite well, which is good.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I'm going to hand you over to Ryan Shelton. And Ryan, have you got any more questions for Thomas?
Absolutely. Good job on the finish. Moving from 19th to 4th is extremely hard in any racing, no matter what. So were you one of those who pitted early and then stayed out while everybody else went in?
No, I think I pitted whenever Jason pitted, which I think was around the midway, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was midway. Okay. Pretty much bang on was when I pitted, so just mirrored what Jason did.
So you actually did drive your way through the pack.
More or less.
Yeah, more or less, yeah. Most of the guys who were up there who made places were up there because they had pitted before. So how hard was it to pass, considering it looks like you probably passed the most amount of cars under green? I'll just clarify with Jason. Yeah, we just I was sort of, because I was thinking, I assume what Jason was thinking, which I think was probably learned from Dave last week, and that he did a similar thing. He stayed out during the cautions and basically just pitted when he had enough fuel to get to the end, and then kept the track position. And that's basically, I just ended up doing what Jason did. Obviously, follow the leader as you generally do in over racing, and worked out pretty well. So that sort of was my thinking. I'll just follow whatever he does, and he ended up doing that, which is what I was going to do anyway, because his track position is very important here. Because following the overtaking, it can be very tricky. I was finding to overtake here, because it is obviously a pretty tight track, Charlotte. Not the tightest in the world, but it's a tighter track. Probably I'd say one of the more tighter ones, the ovals that we race at. And especially once those tyres, after probably about 4 or 5 laps, the tyres really were, they weren't going too bad. To be fair, they weren't dropping off like massively, but they were dropping off enough that trying to hold it down low to make a move sort of after 5-6 laps was very hard, because you just get so much push out of the corner, and it just meant the outside was able to swing around and keep the momentum. So it was tricky. It was certainly tricky. At that last green flag, I got a really good run on Jason off the restart, and I went down low to try and get him in 3 and 4, because he was going out wide and I had no real choice. So tried to get it, and he ended up holding it around the outside, and that's what I was finding. So generally, I tried to make moves around the outside if I could, and it was the same last week. It was the same style. I found around the outside was working quite well once the tyres were off, because obviously you can keep the momentum, and you don't push them as hard, so they don't scrub as much. So I was finding a similar kind of thing here at Charlotte. So yeah, it was quite difficult. It was quite difficult. So no, it made it interesting, that's for sure. And that last little dash was really good fun. Had a couple of nice little close battles there right at the end, and managed to get through cleanly though, which is the main thing. So no, it was very hard but very fun at the same time. Right on. Well, good job on the 4th place finish.
Thank you.
That was a stellar drive, considering you moved up the field with the leaders instead of doing the early pit and then coming in, doing the whole undercut, which the other guys did, which was pretty stout. I enjoy it. Good job.
Thanks very much, Ryan. Thank you.
Now, before we let you go, we've noticed you ditched the GoPro tonight. You're running the Waxit livery. Did you want to give a shout out to those guys? Because from what I understand, you guys celebrated a new partnership with Waxit as far as sponsorship goes.
Yeah, indeed. So, basically, I got into a paint maker JP career. He does a lot of the paints, does the Waxit ones, and I was figuring we may as well get a Waxit here because we want to try and rep the team, and especially seem timely with our partnership with Waxit. So got on JP, he whipped up a skin just like that. He's always so quick and does such a great job with his deliveries, and got this whipped up real quick and looks fantastic. It's similar blue as well. I know it's similar kind of scheme to the GoPro, so it works really well for me in my anyway. So yeah, big thanks obviously to Waxit for partnering with us for the team. They've been awesome, and obviously got the giveaway going at the moment, and they've just been fantastic. And we're really happy to be able to showcase their product and give the exposure on our cars, and they look awesome. They really do look awesome. So big thank you to Waxit for backing the team and jumping on board. Of course, Race Centre, GTI and Kearney as well, our usual sponsors also. Big thanks to them. But yeah, big thanks to those guys, and also, of course, as always, big thanks to the team because they're just awesome bunch of people. And yeah, big thanks as well to the guys here at ANZCAR. They're running I've been really impressed with how much this series has just exploded in terms of numbers. I mean, I came in probably just before it really picked up, and now it's just we're getting full grids pretty much every week, which is just awesome. So big kudos to the ANZCAR guys. They run a really good series here, and big thanks to you guys being for the awesome broadcast as per usual.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, there's big things happening with ANZCAR, which we'll go through shortly. But getting back to that competition, folks, if you go over to Proforce Racing Facebook page, there's a post over there on how you can enter that great competition. It's between Waxit and Proforce Racing, celebrating the new sponsorship deal they've got, and you can win, I think it's $200 Waxit e-voucher to the lucky winner. And I tell you what, that could make your car look mighty shiny. Oh
yeah, I probably should go and enter it myself actually, because my car's in need of a wash. I've been a bit terrible in not washing it, so it would definitely make it look very spick and span. That's for sure.
I don't think you can win it though, because you're a member.
No, yeah, because I'm a member. Yeah.
That's right. But folks, go over to Facebook, check it out, and you could be the lucky winner of that great competition. But until next time, Thomas, we'll see you next week. I think we're at Phoenix next week.
Yep, New Phoenix. And I was quickly say it'll be interesting to see, because I think it's a track that obviously is, when we get to it, it's a bit interesting, a bit unique. I think the way it works and the way the layout is. So I think it'll throw up some interesting racing next week. But hopefully it'll be a real nice race. So yeah, look forward to that one, and I'll probably see you guys then.
Yep, no worries. All right, mate. See ya.
See ya.
Okay, folks, that was Thomas Hinds. Finished fourth tonight. Our second last interview is with Mr. Blackhall. And I'll let you start this interview, Ryan, because I can guess the first question you're going to ask him. Let's see if I'm right. Here we go.
What's going on, Jake Blackhall? Finished 7th after starting. Actually, you finished 8th after starting 2nd place. Bad pit stop?
A bit of both, really. It was a bit of everything, actually. The car was dynamite. I felt like the car was actually really good. It suited how I wanted it to drive really nicely, so I had some good pace, just sitting up inside the top 5 early on. Then, yeah, everyone came down pit road. I stayed out. I was obviously playing a little bit later game, because I knew if I was to run flat out from there to the end, if we were to run green, I actually wouldn't have made it. So I was running a little bit thirsty. So I knew that if I could get another quick caution, I would have been all right. So that was my game plan, and it actually worked out. So I would have had from then on out, obviously, but yeah, cautions it was just cautions all night long. So yeah, none of the strategy really worked out how I wanted.
Yeah, and I figured as soon as you came down, I was questioning the call just a little bit. I knew it wasn't going to work out if the race kept going the way it had been going, where it was just caution. I did figure that if it went green the whole rest of the race, you would have been in a good spot. So what was the decision to kind of stay out? Was it just to kind of get on a different game plan, or what?
It was always my plan, to be fair, Ryan. It was one of those things where even though I saw them all come down, I was always going to dummy them. I was always going to stay out on that that pace car, I already had a plan that was the go. I looked and went, I could make it, but that's if there's cautions. I'm like, I'm not going to stretch it. I'll just go to another one, because then if it runs green from there, I reckon some people may have had to have stopped or fuel saved. So it would have been a little bit of a different strategy there. So that was the go-to, and that was really all the plan I had at the end of the day, to try and see if I could get something out of it.
Yeah, it didn't look like you were making fast, especially there through the end, because you went in and it was just cautions, so nobody else really went in. And I noticed that you made up most of your spots just from green flag passing. We've heard from a lot of people tonight that it was actually really hard to pass. How did you see it out there?
I don't know. Were we in the same room? I found it actually quite easy, to be fair. Especially with the tyre difference, a couple of laps on the tyres really helped. I was able to run the high side and just pass people on the top. The top really rubbered in nicely for me, so I was able just to go out there and run it pretty much flat sticker on 1 and 2 around the outside, and little lift through 3 and 4 helped on the high side, and on the inside you couldn't do anything with it. So that was where I made most of my ground, around the high side, because people just couldn't get the run off the corner, and then you'd lose momentum. Whereas on the high side of Charlotte, you can just run around the outside and you can keep that speed up. So the outside worked really well, and I was able to make a bunch of spots from there, because restarted 28th, and to come away with 8th at the end with all those cautions isn't a bad of a run.
Yeah, and I figured that's what was happening, is that a lot of these guys were trying to pass on the inside, whereas from up in the booth, you could see the speed difference from whoever was on top and bottom. It just worked out. So I think Bernie may have a few questions for you also.
No, not really. I was listening, but I wasn't listening. No, awesome drive. Yeah, awesome drive there, Jake. When we saw you come into the pits there, and we thought, that could have been the wrong call. You actually did a very good job in recovering from that. You got up to 8th position, and good drive considering the amount of cautions we went. As far as the track and the truck went tonight, how did you think that setup was for you?
Yeah, like I said earlier, it was brilliant. I didn't have an issue with it. The truck was suited really nicely to how I would have liked to have drive it. Obviously, in the long run, you'd play with it, but we didn't get to see what it felt like over a longer run. But on a short run, it was really nice. It worked the way I would have wanted it to work. So it was a good day, all in all. Even though Jason came 3rd and I was behind him, I've still got over 1 race lead, and I'm hoping I can keep that, because obviously Jason missed out on that 1 race at Motorsport. But I'd like to get it next week at Phoenix if I can keep the points gap, because then technically, if I missed out the last one, it would then sort of even it out, if that makes sense. So we'll see what happens next week at Phoenix. Yeah,
I was going to ask you about that, is how comfortable you felt about your lead in the series, but you've pretty much answered that. So anyway, before we let you go, you're going to have to get this truck back in the transporter and ship it off to Phoenix. But before we let you go, shout out to all your sponsors and the team that put together this beautiful, a Silverado.
Yeah, beautiful Silverado presented by Evolution Racing Team. Massive shout out to the sponsors, Logitech G, Joel Real Timing and GTI, and Asher Racing for all their support for myself this year.
Fantastic. Well, anyway, Jake, well done, mate. 8th position tonight, and we'll see you next week.
We'll see you then. Thanks, God. Good job again tonight, guys.
So, Ryan, that was an interesting interview with Mr. Blackhall there. I didn't catch all of it because I was doing other things, but he sounds like, after speaking to Jason Martin and Jake, Jason sounds quite deflated, doesn't he? And Jake's still pretty optimistic about taking this championship.
Yeah, I think Jason Martin is kind of in the same boat that a lot of the drivers were, is that he knew that he was faster, he could have made more spots, but it was just out of his control with all the cautions. That the cautions really hurt his chances at having a shot at a win.
Yeah, trying to get that momentum and getting that forward motion happening. We had a lot of motion, but most of it wasn't forward.
Yeah, most of it was 80 k's an hour.
Yeah, and speaking of motion, our final interview tonight is with the 674 Danny Trim and Mr. Ballet Man. Let's have a chat with him. Hi Danny, welcome to the RRTV Combox, mate. Tell us a little bit about your race tonight.
Oh, look, I sort of enjoyed 99.9% of it. Yeah, didn't qualify, so I started at the back. I sort of figured there'd be a few yellows tonight. Tight track. So, yeah, worked my way through. Was just outside the top 10. Saw a gap which I thought was there, which didn't end up being there. And I believe I can fly.
Yeah, I was going to say the safety fence actually did its job, didn't it? It kept you out of the crowd, but at one point I think you were a lot higher than that safety fence. But obviously you've pulled up without any injuries, and can't say much about your truck though. It looks pretty second hand.
Oh yeah, no, new one on order from Chevy already for that one.
Yeah, we noticed the whole back end was ripped off it, but I tell you what, it was an exciting way to end the race. So thank you for entertaining the crowd there.
Yeah, I'm just glad it's still finished under racing.
Yeah, it was that last lap. But yeah, as far as the rest of the race goes, we know how it ended. How happy were you with the performance of your truck and the racing up until that point?
Pretty good actually. The restarts, I sort of figured out with them pretty early that a lot of guys were just sort of missing the restart. They didn't see the pattern to it. So I was always pretty good on the restarts. So I kept moving forward. Took 4 tyres on the second stop with my fuel.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just move on up from there.
Fantastic. Well, I was trying to bring a picture of your truck up, but it killed my overlay. So there you go. No, it was good racing. But I'm going to hand you over to Ryan, and he can go from here with the interview.
Yeah, man. That was going to be a good finish until your truck turned into a helicopter. Did you do the same pit strategy that Stratty was on?
No. Well, I'm not sure. We didn't actually talk strategy at all. I know during the race when we were sort of working out fuel up, but after we'd already done our stops, I think he had a litre more or a litre less than me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, he had pitted a couple laps before, and then everybody came down the pits, and he stayed out. I didn't know if you were part of that group to kind of move yourself up through the field, or if you pitted with everybody.
I skipped the first one, pitted the second one, skipped the rest.
Okay. Yep. Okay, so yeah, we're just wondering if you had moved up through the field like that, because a lot of people had done that actually. Stephen Williams probably the biggest. Him and Raymond Jager and Terry Marwood would have been the biggest movers using that pit cycle. So I didn't know if you were a part of that or not. Did you find the truck to be good for passing on your end?
Look, during practice, I saw a lot of cars getting loose, sort of in the transition to turn 2 from 1. Mm-hmm. So I sort of made sure I kept the line that I was always using there, and I didn't have an issue with that. So yeah, the car was pretty good the whole race for me. The tyres lasted well. That's why it was so easy to move up from 30-something 8th position to, as I said, 13th before it ended badly.
Yeah, right on. So I know you have a few sponsors on your truck, and give them a shout out.
Yeah, I'd like to thank WP Concreting, West End Mazda Racing, GDH iRacing Images, Motion Performance Exhaust, and MF Race Art for their support for the team. And I'd also like to thank you guys and RRTV for putting on the show for us, along with ANZCAR.
Fantastic, and put you on the spot, mate. Are you going to join me next week, do you reckon?
Sorry, mate, I missed that.
I said, are you going to join me in the Combox next week?
Yeah, looking at the track next week, I think it's much safer in the comms box.
Yeah, looking at the height you got on your car, it might, or on your truck, it might take more than a week to get that thing fixed as well.
I said fax has already been sent to Debbie. Need a new one now.
Yeah, no worries. All right, Danny. Well, thanks for popping in, mate, and look forward to your company next week as we call Phoenix, I think it is.
Yes, correct.
Awesome.
So,
No worries.
thanks, guys. See you, Haystack.
See you, man.
So that was Danny Trim, folks. He got the Pirouette Award tonight, or the biggest high jump award. Now, I've just been having a look with ANZCAR, Ryan. We're talking earlier in the broadcast about what's to come with ANZCAR and what they're looking at doing, and it's quite exciting. At the moment, they're doing the Thursday night Thunder Truck Series. Every Thursday night, it's a fixed racing series. We've got 2 rounds of that to go, but most people will then start winding up for Christmas, but the ANZCAR boys aren't. They're going to start the ANZCAR Summer Series, which is going to be a very exciting series. They're starting in different cars, so we're going to start in street stock on the dirt, and each round the cars are going to get quicker and the tracks are going to get quicker. That's going to carry them pretty much all the way up to January, and then they're going to be kicking off another number of leagues, and we were talking about it earlier. The very exciting one will be the series that's going to run for the year, and that will kick off with the Daytona 500, and that'll be a full-length race. On top of that, they're also going to be running the Thursday night Thunder as well, and they're also looking at an Xfinity series. So they've got a lot on their plate, and I'm expecting big things in 2018 for the ANZCAR league here.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to be in the Cup cars. I know Xfinity cars are pretty fun too, but those Cup cars are an absolute beast.
Yeah, exactly. And we were saying earlier in the broadcast, this is what their goal is, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. But if there's any viewers out there watching and you want to get involved in this, what you want to do is go to the iRacing Leagues section and look up ANZCAR, ANZCAR, sign up there, and you can reach out to Roger, and he'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Also, if you go to the Australian-New Zealand Oval thread, there'll be more information there. But if you're from overseas, best bet, the league page, join up, contact Roger directly. So, Ryan, it must be time for your breakfast, mate.
Yeah, I'm about to get me a bowl of cereal, some cinnamon, some Lucky Charms is what I have.
Yeah.
So we'll be getting a couple of bowls of those and knock out a good nap and go to work. And then I'll have 4 days off.
Oh, awesome. You'll be looking forward to that.
Oh, you best believe it.
Yeah. I'll probably have some cereal, and then I'll probably go and have a quick nap for the next 8 hours before I have to go to work.
Hey, so we'll be doing the same exact thing, no matter if you're 25 or 125.
Here we go again. You always have to get it in, don't you?
Always.
Yeah, no worries.
Always. I just know when I get your age, somebody's going to be on me about being old, so
Yeah.
I've got to get mine in.
And I'm just lining them up now. Start coaching them. They're probably in kindergarten about now, so.
No, those are too young, because they're going to be old when I'm old.
Depends how old you're talking.
I mean, if I'm 45, they're going to be 25.
Oh, okay. No worries. All right. On that note, Ryan, I'm going to kick you out of the comm box now, and you're going to go off and have your breakfast and start preparing for your night, I guess.
Oh, yeah. It'll be sunlight, but it'll be nighttime.
Yeah, no worries. I think you're
Right
a
on.
vampire myself, but anyway. All right, Roger, once again, mate. Thanks, Ryan, Roger. Thanks for turning up, man, and calling the action. It's for the folks watching, Ryan. You're in South Carolina, is that right?
10-4. I am directly opposite of the world from Perth. If you were to dig a hole from my house, I would land in Perth.
Yeah, so it's about 7 a.m. your time. So it's a pretty big ask having Ryan join us, but I personally appreciate it because you bring a wealth of knowledge to the broadcast, and we get to get your knowledge about your stamping ground, I guess, in real life over there in America.
Yeah, it's sort of.
Sort of.
I've watched NASCAR since I was in diapers, and it's been something that's gone through and through me. So it'll be fun coming back for a Canadian road course.
Yeah, no worries. All right, mate. Well, thanks once again, and you better go and get your whatever you call those things and Lucky Charms, I think you said. And
Yep, Lucky Charms. Yep,
yeah,
absolutely.
I guess they're like Fruit Loops.
No,
No, all right.
you're a Fruit Loop.
On that note, folks, that's Ryan Shelton about to get booted out of the Combox. I'm Bernie Weemers. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's coverage. Join us again tomorrow night if you want to see some V8 supercar action. Got Adam Briggs joining me for his debut commentary, and we'll be covering a 150k sprint race. So check that out tomorrow night. If you're wondering what time that is, you'll see the link for that broadcast coming up on our YouTube page, probably tomorrow afternoon. But until then, folks, thanks for joining us. Hope you've had a good time here watching the ANZCAR Thursday Night Thunder. But until we meet again, have a great and safe Friday. Good night.